Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be showing off the Splice archetype. So this archetype is all about rank 2s, level 2s, link 2s. It can basically go into whatever it really wants to. It's one of the cooler archetypes, and there's actually huge potential that it's one of the next best decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! And you guys will see insane gameplay of like playing through multiple hand traps, playing through Nibiru. You're able to basically put in kind of a deck together the way that you want to. Obviously, it has to be like level 2 stuff because that's what the deck is all about. But you can mix in a lot of different things. You can run in different tokens. You can even play things that are normally in the gameplay like Gamma and still like pop off. And the way the deck is actually oriented, it seems weird because it's kind of hard to play up against if you don't know exactly what's going on, because there's a lot of negations that you don't like necessarily see because they come out during your turn when you're like trying to go against the deck. Like for example, Elf can bring back another card that can add more negations, or you can just go into other cards that add more negations. So the deck can technically, I would say anywhere from 3 to 6 negates is going to be what it can do. Now, how consistent is it to get those negates? I would say it's pretty easy to get up to like 4 pretty consistently. 6 is going to be requiring a little bit of a specific hand, I would say. But the deck's good at the end of the day. So to kind of sum it up here, we'll just have some gameplay here and I'll kind of talk about the deck and kind of what it can do. So they actually have other effects also to increase their stats, and I'll show you guys the gameplay of that. But red is actually another disruption. You got to watch out for this one. It can quick effect tribute 1, rank level 2, link 2, to actually add a negation. But on top of that, I want to show you guys some gameplay up against this guy that actually ends up going for a Dragoon, because I was thinking, okay, once someone makes Dragoon, like how do you actually deal with it? Obviously there's Dark Ruler no more, but like this doesn't stop it. This doesn't he can't get rid of the Dragoon, at least initially, because I was genuinely wondering how you actually get rid of it. Because once this card gets up to too much attack, there are other cards, specifically the Pixies. So Splight Pixies is going to have this effect where, as a quick effect, you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard. Your battling monster gains attack and defense equal to the opponent's monster's current attack until the end of this turn. Obviously, this card is just able to negate, but once its effect gets activated, it will have a very high attack. There's also other cards that can be utilized in this. There's also Gamma Burst that can increase their stats by 1400 until the end of this turn, and then during your main phase, you can banish it from your grave. And then target 1 level, rank, or link 2 monster, and it gains 1400 stats. So that's kind of nice, again, just as extra ability to reoccur. But it's really Elf that makes everything super, super powerful, because he wants to get rid of Elf. You can't leave the Elf on the board. You have Blue that actually lets you add another Splight monster. So the deck actually has a lot of free pluses. It will consistently bring back Totally Awesome again and again and again. And Totally Awesome is already a pretty good card that usually will let you go at least +1 because it steals whatever you have. It sets it to the field. And then you have a lot of other cards that just let you special summon from the deck. And there's also a Melfi engine that you can play. Like, this deck has plays for days in terms of what it can do. Also, just being able to trade cards out like that, very good stuff. You can also run the Live Twin Kiss Kill, so you actually have another form of disruptions. Not necessarily a negation, but in addition to being able to have negations, you have basically pop your opponent's stuff. So good stuff indeed. So big shout outs to Dual Rising as well as my homie Riv for hooking me up with the gameplays that you guys are seeing over here. But there's multiple different builds. There's so many builds of this deck. It's probably just scratching the surface right now. And this deck is very, very good to the point where like you will see this deck, at least as of right now. Keep in mind, like when decks first get announced, like everyone tries them out, but people don't stick with them generally because they're just not that good right in the very beginning. Some decks aren't, at least. Like, for example, like if a new Crystal Beast card gets announced, people try it out, but then like 1 week later, it's like, it's a ghost town with that deck, right? But with like this deck, I could see this being one of the next best decks. There's a lot of competitive players looking at it as a next best deck easily. I mean, look at how fast it was. I just wanted to really show you guys the Malphite engine here, because basically you can just go for Playhouse really easy, and that allows you to have basically another disruption. You can bounce back and multiple different cards. But there's actually an interesting card that's actually for like the Sacred Beast Gods that you can actually play in the deck as well. Like I said, there's just so many options for this deck in terms of like what you want to do for it. It's totally up to you. But you'll see the Lila and Kiss Kill engine in here as well. Blue is really fantastic. Let's go ahead and add another one. Then we have red. Red is the negation one. So this is a card that you actually want to stop from coming out usually, but blue will just let you search. And a lot of them are just like you get a free special summon for the archetype. And we're also seeing this tribute it, so he's not going to be able to get too much value out of that. But Called by the Grave is then set. We have the Layer of Darkness, Feather Duster activated, but he's going to chain it. Go ahead and banish the Dramaturgia. Good stuff to get rid of because that card just keeps on coming back sometimes. And then he's also got the Kiss Kill again to pop as another disruption. Now, just as a heads up with this archetype, to also explain kind of how some of the cards work really quickly, you do take damage with some of the cards. Well, we'll get into them. There's none in the grave right now, but you can see the Amalfi Playhouse. You can see he just bounces stuff back. Really good stuff indeed when it's like the extra deck stuff, because it's basically just getting rid of the monster. So it kind of helps you play into stuff if you need to. When your opponent happens to go first. But I really want to show you guys some insane gameplay that you guys will be seeing very soon, where like the guy gets Nibiru'd and it's just a wild ride. But this is the card that brings out whatever you want from the deck, and it's usually going to be some variant of Swap Frog to really set up. Getting out Totally Awesome is like very common in the deck, and at this point like he's lost. But Splight Elf, basically the goal of the deck is usually going to be Elf, Totally Awesome. These are the two like really star players of the deck. There's also another rank 2 that you can play that adds more negations, but pretty much at this point he knows he's not. The king of games has surrendered over here. Here we got up against Dragon Link, but there's one gameplay that you guys do not want to miss out on. It's like literally the most insane thing that I've seen in a while. I almost wanted to open up with it, but I gotta show you guys like the ins and outs of the archetype. So he goes ahead and goes for the Striker Dragon that gets impermed over here. Let's go swap from the POV of the guy named Meta over here playing the deck versus Dragon Link. He's got a Triple Tactics talent as well, so he's going to activate that. He's going to go ahead and get that effect of Pot of Greed. He's got Safer, activating Ravine. Ravine going to go ahead and dump a card. And he's going to go search out, and he's going to have to pass over there because the hand trap's too strong. All right, so pretty much at this point, even though you have a small hand, you're going to still be able to pop off over here. And then, so this is the card I was talking about where the deck does have some like kind of cost with it, which is like you special summon the Splight monster from your deck, and then you lose life points equal to its original attack. And then after this card resolves, you can only go for levels rank 2 monster, but it doesn't really matter. That's like all you make in the deck for the most part anyways. There are lots of times where people will make Axis Kotakers in basically like every deck for the most part. But again, that will be like maybe like an exception of like the things that you'd want to make in most scenarios with this deck. But he's going for Rocket Ground, but it's already over. He's going to go ahead and tribute and just say no to that. So there's Carrot over here. So Carrot is when your opponent activates a spell or trap. As a quick effect, you tribute 1. So you have negation of monster effect, you got negation of the spell and trap effect, and then obviously Totally Awesome's an Omni negate. This is the gameplay though. This is the gameplay that like I just saw and I was like, no way, ain't no way. Okay, so anyways, Splight player is going to go first. Obviously, Nibiru is going to be coming out in the gameplay. So Nibiru comes out and he's like, no, I'm going to red, I'm going to tribute it, not dealing with a Nibiru. All right, so you can play through Nibiru in the deck pretty easy because you're going to go for red. Like, it's the go-to card in the deck, and because the deck lets you search out whatever you want, special summon whatever you want, it's consistent to get that out. So don't expect your Nibiru to go through, but at least it lets them tribute 1, right? But look at the negations. He's got, this card can bring back another card, so it's basically another negate. We got another negation here and another negation here. So we have 1, 2, 3 negates, and then this could go into something else, so it's like kind of a disruption, but he Snatch Steals is the infinite impermanent, bringing back a Swap Frog going to be dumping a card, and on top of that, the Totally Awesome going to give him back a Swap Frog. He activates 1 for 1, the Splight Elf going to activate its effect and be bringing back the blue, so he's going to be able to get that effect, going for an additional card. He goes for Masquerena, goes for Appaloosa, Bow of the Goddess, so now he's got even more negations. Like I said before, this deck that has negations for days. So he has 3200 Appaloosa. He gets Tactical Talented, but Jin Buster is going to go ahead and stop that ability by attaching 2 material. It also does burn damage, but that effect was stopped as well. Now he goes ahead and goes for a Doom Eagle. And he's got his set up pretty well over here. He goes into Axis Kotaker, going to go ahead and actually attack him. He knows that's an imperm because he said it. And he actually takes the L here. But, like, that was a really good gameplay for Meta. Like it was just so amazing. We haven't, there's another really good gameplay in here as well. But that one, I thought it was too cool. I mean, even though the deck did take an L, I mean, like, the guy really played out of so much, which was really impressed by that gameplay. It really came down to that triple tactical talents being very good, stealing an absolute stuff for multiple negations. That's great stuff. But Swap Frog coming out over here, and it's going to just keep on doing the same thing. So the bread and butter of the deck is go for Elf. Elf brings back another card. You get the dumps with the Swap Frog, and then you go for Totally Awesome, and then you can go for like Starter, bring back another card. So you have 1, 2, 3 negates over here. Obviously, you want to use Totally Awesome first because you're going to be usually bringing that card back. So he's going to go activate that effect, give him back effect. Then we go for Splight Red over here, so he has another form of disruption. And then he's going to get impermed, and so nope to that. And he goes for Excelsia, goes for Boxia, tries to get rid of that card, but the droplet comes out and it's like nope, because the deck gets a lot of free advantage. And it is definitely, like I said, one of the best decks coming out. That's like a newer deck. So this is one of the cards I was talking about, where you get to actually add a card that lists specifically one of like the sacred beasts. Which I was like, what? At first I was like, oh dude, is this guy gonna summon Uriah? That would be out of nowhere, or like one of the cards over here. We also have Cat Shark, which is kind of an interesting card over here. So, well, this card has material that was originally water. It cannot be destroyed by battle. And once per turn, you can target, you're gonna detach one material, target a rank 4 or lower exceed monster, and its attack and defense become double its original. So look at the amount of damage right here up on the board. You also activate another thing to increase their attack, but we have 7,827, 36. Like, this is insane amounts of stats. So Cat Shark actually seeing some play, because you can definitely OTK in this deck. But like I said, you can also go to access code. That can actually happen. Man, this gameplay is like actually pretty long, but I wanted to give you guys a decent amount of variety. We'll also give you guys the deck profile very soon over here, but let me go and show you guys. The card that you're actually going for is Dark Beckoning Beast. So when this card is normal summon, you get to add another card that lists one of those cards. The other card is letting you going ahead and summon another Fiend. And if you're wondering, like, what Fiends do you have in the deck as far as the targets go, because it's 7 Spirits Gates Unleashed. That's the card. So this card has the ability, you can discard a card to special summon a Fiend monster with 0 attack and defense from your graveyard. So you basically get to go and link off or whatever you want to do with it, use it as exceed material, detach it. Then you get to use its the effect of the spirits, and then you're gonna bring back something later down the line. And you also have the effect where you have a 10 monster, but that's not really relevant. So he's trying to activate the effect, but it doesn't matter, he's got the card anyways. So he's gonna be using it. So he is now going to send that card to the Banish Zone. Splight Jet is going to activate its effect, and he's just going to special summon it, and then he's going to be able to add a Splight spell / trap, which is going to be, usually you go for the card that lets you special summon more, and then on top of that, they got the one that lets you boost up the stats. So now he's doing the gates, so he's discarding the Plague Spreader, and then Plague Spreader, obviously, you stack one for Plague Spreader. He gets Nibiru'd over here, and this guy's probably going to be kicking himself in the foot because he's like, oh dang, the Plague Spreader's there, and he goes up to a Halki Firebreak. So like, you really got to know when to Nibiru this deck, and sometimes it can just play out of it, because look at this. He got Nibiru'd, and he's still able to basically make a play over here. So the Gigantic is the one that has like okay-ish stats over there, but it's usually just for special summoning whatever you need from the deck, which is usually Swap Frog because it gives you extra advantage. So Swap Frog going to be bouncing, and then we got that card being top deck for a Plague Spreader. Blue is going to be able to get some extra free advantage. Then we get Elf. Elf is one of the best cards in the archetype. And then now we have the starter, bringing out extra cards. It's not even really a starter at this point. It's like a game ender. But look at all of the attack. He unfortunately drew into a Veiler, so he has to set it. So it's going to be game over. And I got one more replay, and then I got the deck build for you guys. So this is just up against 2 hand traps, because obviously, you know, people want to see, like, what if they have hand traps? Well, the starter gets stopped. A lot of the things in the entire archetype are all about actually doing things for free advantage. And even though, like, this one's a quick play, so keep in mind, draw phase, standby, activate, so you can maybe play around some of your opponent's stuff, can be another option. So he's gonna go ahead and now go for Splight Gigantic, or Gigantic Splight, go for extra card, Elf, bring it back, Frog dump another card, and then Rodent Toad and Banish. Gonna go ahead and make it totally awesome. So he's got one negation here. Technically, this is another negation as well. It's a quick effect. So he's got basically 4 negations over here, which is still pretty good. 4 negations after getting disrupted by 2, like, of your opponent's stuff. Hey, that's pretty good. I mean, at that point, they have 4 cards. you negate 4, you're good to go. So the deck is definitely showed itself over there, but big shout outs to my homie Riv as well as Duel Rising for hooking me up. I'll give you guys the deck profiles of some of them. Like I said, there's so many other ones. For gameplay wise, Gamma can actually be used as well. It happens to be level 2. You could actually go off harder, but remember, some of them will only let you go into like certain things for the rest of the turn after you activate certain conditions. But I'll go ahead and mouse over these cards real quick. I also included the one-click download just in case any of you guys do want it, but we'll go over this kind of fast. But yeah, the Splight is looking really, really solid. I would say easily one of the best newer archetypes that we have gotten in a while. Because a lot of the stuff that we've been getting, honestly, is kind of just like, you know, stuff for maybe like, you know, fans. But you can even mix in the crawlers, which is crazy. Like I said, this deck hasn't even unlocked, I think, its full potential yet. Someone will figure out some other like engines with it. And it has like a potential for like being able to stand the test of time too. Because, you know, there's just going to be like level 2 monsters that come out that just you can special summon, right? So really good stuff indeed. I like this. This is the one where this is a Tri-Brigade one. But I just love that gameplay. Like, it was so crazy. Like, I thought he already won when he played around the Nibiru, and then the guy just still came back. But yeah, Droplet, very, very good card as well. And just being able to dump extra frogs for your fodder. Good stuff indeed. But anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys. If you guys enjoyed the gameplay, drop a like on it if you're new and you want to see more new Yu-Gi-Oh stuff in the future. Hit subscribe, turn the bell, and you'll see more. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. I'm out. Peace.